It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're given an early reaction to the Flash movie, Mike, and that's just me.
It's just faces. Chris
Yeah.
is going to take a couple photos of his face.
That's
just
right.
Pure reaction. We're going to put
God.
links in the podcast. He's going to supremely edit the YouTube version of the podcast so you get it all clear and good to go. And that's going to be your early reaction.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not doing that, but thank you for putting my that suggestion out there, Mike. I do appreciate it. So I'm going to go give you spoiler-free, completely spoiler-free. The movie's out next week, so I'll talk about that a little bit. Captain America gets a brave new title, Mike. This is the pun I worked on for several minutes earlier writing these notes, so take note of that. Twisted Metal looks to disappoint us wholeheartedly, Mike.
I already got hot takes on this.
I am. Well, it's gonna. It's bringing me Mortal Kombat vibes, and we'll talk about what that means later, which is good, and more.
Yes.
So
Here I'm back from the mountains.
Yes.
I was camping over the weekend. There's nothing more lovely than that first shower after smelling like a campfire for 48 hours. So I feel refreshed. I'm ready to integrate back into my normal part of society, which is not Mother Nature.
Air conditioning?
Yes, it is air conditioning. It is asphalt. It is buildings. It's movie theaters. It's my couch watching the last season of Never Have I Ever, a show about teenagers on Netflix. Wow. So that's where my head's at right now, Chris.
Yeah, that's fine. So my head is in a lot of pain. I hit my head this weekend, and I told Mike that earlier. But the rest of my body is failing me wholeheartedly because, as Mike knows, I've been replacing the floor in my house since last week, and boy, was that not the smartest decision I've ever made in my life.
Welcome. Just like I know you have been in your 30s for a while, just like me, but that's like no better example of like welcome to your 30s than like I have to get down on my knees for the whole day. Just kill me.
Yeah. So we've been doing it ourselves. We took up the carpet and the padding, and we've been putting down vinyl laminate. So yes, we've been doing it after work, after hours. So like literally no free time in my life this week, right? Just work. Come home, do this, pass out from exhaustion, repeat. Except for the night we did go to the Flash, but I will say you bring up a good point. We spent a trip through Menards yesterday, Mike. You're familiar with the store Menards, where you can save big
money.
Yeah,
you save big money when you shop Menards.
And if I had a nickel for every time I said Menards instead of Menards, I'd be rich.
I used to work there back in high school and in college, and I said Menards every single time that commercial came on the loudspeaker. Okay, folks, if you're unfamiliar, Menards is basically like more of a local, regional
Home Depot,
a hardware
Lowe's,
store, much like a Home Depot or a Lowe's, but mainly isolated in the Midwest.
Yep.
And that's that's the best way I can explain it. I think Menards has more of kind of like, it doesn't have like a grocery section necessarily, even though it kind of does.
It kind of does now, yeah.
So it's just kind of like maybe go to a Home Depot, try to identify like the lowest profit section of Home Depot, just rip that aisle out and throw groceries in it. It's very strange.
Well, I would say also what I like about Menards, thank you very much. I don't want to get flagged on Apple's podcast for saying that too much, is we get a lot of our cabinetry from there. Like when we redid our cabinets and stuff, like you can go in and buy unfinished cabinets there. And at like Home Depot, I feel like they don't stock anything in store. Like I will order it for you, right? Like Menards has everything in stock. And I went there and I bought myself some better knee pads, Mike. As an adult, I'm like, I can splurge on knee pads because if I don't, I'm going to regret this forever.
Oh my God! You should have seen. So, you should have seen like the group of the 30-somethings that kind of did our guilt hike when we were camping this weekend. Like we barely made it an hour. Like the trail we were on like just kind of weirdly ended, so we had to like ascend this really big hill. We're like, oh God, we're all gonna die, and we just didn't know which way we were going. And we were just like, somebody take out your phone. Who has service? We need to point back to the campground. Yeah, and I was like, I got it. My blue cone on my Google Maps app is pointing at the name of the campground. Nothing else will load. Go this way. Oh my God, we're not meant to be doing these things.
No, what you need is an Apple Watch Ultra, Mike, because those things are meant to be used out in the wilderness and camping. Because Apple obviously makes devices for any and every situation.
Chris, I love that you're segueing us.
I am segueing this right into the first topic because Apple's WWDC, what is it? Worldwide Developers Conference, is that what they call it? This week, and obviously, I would say we're Apple users, maybe not fanatics. But we are users of Apple products. So we stay up with this. And, as, we have mentioned, maybe it was you, I forget, in the text message threads, is like, if a company is going to make a goofy-looking product look good in public, it's Apple, right? They're going to take it and make standardized things that don't look normal. And this week, what did they announce, Mike?
They announced the Apple Vision Pro, which is essentially their VR headset, which has cameras on the front of it, so you can do video pass-through. So you can kind of do like a faux augmented reality. And I only say kind of faux because if you're up with all of this, like, AR, VR, headset technology and stuff, all of the AR so far has primarily been either like literal glass on your face and then images get projected onto the glass. Essentially what Chris was talking about the other week on the podcast.
Those in-real, X-real glasses, they're augmented reality, but like they move with you, so when you move your head, right, the glasses are always in front of you. They're not like in space, but yes.
Exactly. But even best case scenario with that technology, the images projected on the glass are still going to be transparent. Like it'll never actually feel like you're in the environment with it. It'll feel like there's almost like a cool hologram in front of you. So Apple did this cool thing where it's just like, hey, we pretty much have perfected like processing chips and camera and all of this technology stack. Instead of just like projecting, graphics onto glass into the world that you're looking at, let's just make a copy with cameras of everything you're looking at and just put it on like these 4K screens that go in front of each eye. So technically, like you're looking at like 8K resolution, like millimeters away from your eyeballs.
That's right.
Which is I only emphasize because it's so funny because they also announced during this conference there'll be an iOS feature that'll help children like get away from their screens and go outside so they don't have to have like strong prescription glasses when they grow up. So that dichotomy was really funny there. But this headset is like so freaking like cool, and it basically Apple has done something big enough. They've announced a new piece of hardware where at least I think Chris and I just kind of wanted to like bullshit back and forth about it on the show, because like eventually all of the stuff that we talk about, if this technology is as successful as they want it to be, if all of their projections come true that they laid out in their like video, hell, even Bob Iger came out like quote unquote on stage. It was all pre-recorded video.
You can visit Disney without going to Disney, and guess how much that's going to cost? The same price as a daily ticket.
Yes, they showed Mickey Mouse jumping around in your room with you. It's $3,500, but if everything goes according to plan, to them, all of these superhero shows and content we'll be talking about, you might be watching in a headset very much like this.
Yeah. So. Mike brings like the biggest thing again, whether you like it or not is fine. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you hate it. Like it's not really like we're not losing sleep over your affinity for Apple products. I'm just gonna get that out of the way. We're just interested in new technology, and what everyone's been like kind of the vibe I'm getting from people talking like it's $3,600, right, or $3,500. People are like, oh my god, it's expensive. You're right, that is really really expensive for a headset, and this first gen. But I will tell you, Mike, you brought up a good point. You know what half of the cost of this headset is, right? Is the screens, these custom 4K screens that they don't make anywhere else on anything. Because what they've done is literally put an M2 chip, a chip you can buy in a MacBook Air or an iPad, right? My iPad's an M2 iPad. I could literally just take the same processor out and pop it in a headset, right? And it's got a standalone device. And I think that's really interesting. I never trust an Apple product till at least third gen. So like how cheap will this get in 3 years, 4 years? Down the road. And I will say it actually takes one of the things I hate most about Apple products and puts it on here, and that's a digital crown, the little rotating knob that's on the watch and the AirPod not AirPods, the headset AirPods, whatever those are called. And I hate that thing, but I think it's cool that you can like literally rotate how much VR you want to be in, like by rotating this crown. Like, do you want to be like fully immersed? Rotate the crown a little more. If you want to be halfway immersed, you can undo that. So you reduce, I guess it's that motion sickness effect as well, using this. And I think that's cool, but I really hate that crown along the way. I just want to go ahead and put that on record. I hate that thing.
I mean, I think the sales pitch and the sizzle reel that they cooked up that convinced me the most to want to have one of these is when the person put the headset on while they're on the airplane, and they crank that dial and they go in full VR and they show all of the horrible people you have to share an airplane with disappear behind this virtual world. I was like, oh my God, I've been on a couple like international flights where I wish I could just drown out the world around me. So I mean, I kind of look at it this way. Obviously it's like too expensive, and all technology, you know, if you get the cost down enough, you know, you can get more adaption, right? Yeah, I'll let them figure all that out, right? I'm not too worried about figuring out that side of things. But they obviously had a decision to make here. They were just like, do we want to make something that's affordable that everyone can get into, and like we can slap the Apple logo on it and then we can proliferate the market? Or do we make literally the single best headset that we can and then just charge what it costs? And I think at least that direction is more interesting, right? Because if you want to buy a headset for a couple $100, they already exist.
I would say
Meta already makes them.
Like literally the Friday before this, 2 Fridays ago, Meta said, hey, we're actually releasing the Meta Quest 3 headset, which is a full AR, VR headset, right? The cameras, everything like that. But it's $500. I'm like, you could buy 7 of these for the price of Apple's one, which is crazy. But at the same time, I will tell you, when I have a Meta Quest 2, and the thing with those is every ad, every notification you get are games. Games. And guess what Apple did? Not a single game, except maybe one game in their trailer. Right?
Yeah.
They're like, this is an everyday headset, not a gaming headset.
Yeah, I would say they focused on games as much as they do with any other piece of hardware that they make. Even when they like announce like a new iPhone, right? There's always like maybe like a 5-minute little segment of like, we improved Metal. Here you can play the next Assassin's Creed on your phone, and they move on to the next
Infinity Blade and Super Mario Brothers Run were like the only 2 games I know that they were like, you can run this on your phone now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. So basically, it's just like, yes, Apple did what it always does. It comes in late to the game, but then it tries to perfect what people have already been working on. I just think the thing's cool as hell. I don't know if I can shell out $3,500 for it. It is important to know it's called the Apple Vision Pro,
it's not a
indicating
headset.
that there could be a cheaper version that's not Pro. And you mentioned, the screen resolution, right? Maybe they put like a slightly lower resolution screen in there. Maybe the next version has the M3 chip in it, and the M2 chip is actually cheaper. I would imagine they will at some point get a version that's $199, under $2,000.
Right.
I would think that would hit the market at some point in time. But also, like, it's Apple. They're always more expensive than like the equivalent competition. That's like their go-to. So like, Apple's never affordable, unfortunately.
A Quest Pro launched at $1,500 last year, if you remember that, earlier this year. The Vision Pro, and now it's $1,000. But that comes with headsets. The cool thing about the Vision Pro is it actually doesn't come with headsets, right? Like, you tap your fingers to control this thing.
Yeah, I actually had a chance to talk to somebody IRL who went to Cupertino on Monday last week who got to play with it, and they said it's like a delight. They are convinced it is a game changer technology. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's always easy to impress somebody when you're there in person wearing it for free, right?
Well, yes. Again, rose tinted glass. Everything's fresh and new. You're like, and I'm the first person to do it. I'm having a great time. I'm gonna rant and rave about it. I think the one thing I would say, I want to get one. I'm gonna start saving ahead of time, right? Doing extra side jobs, anything I can to save up for this and try one out because, as Mike knows, and I'm interested about our listeners. I'm trying to create a Superhero Slate app for your phone that does 2 things, Mike, and you tell me what you think about this. And I want our listeners to listen because you're the people who are going to be downloading this. One, you can listen to our show right in the app, right? Like you normally would. I know you have a podcatcher app. Fine. You don't have to listen to it in the app. That's totally cool. But the second thing is going to be push notifications when movies come out, or at least when tickets go on sale. Or like whenever we have things like announcements like to our Superhero Slate page, right? Because that to me, our site is like one of the coolest things that we do. Again, as Mike says, ad free, no clutter, just what you want at the top of the upcoming movie release page. I think that would be fun. So if anyone's interested in a Superhero Slate app, let me know because I'm going to be working on this. But I'd like to get a headset just to try it out, and then also convince my employers to get one because for those who don't know, I work in furniture, and what is every piece of furniture site have these days, Mike? At least successful ones.
It's always
View it in my room.
Put this virtual couch in my room.
Exactly.
With this AR tool, right?
So I'm like, well, maybe this headset has some value there. But yeah, I think the lack of handsets is cool. There are two red flags I want to call out before we switch topics, Mike, and I want to get your thoughts on this. One, battery life is very limited. How are you going to get this on an airplane across the country if the battery's like maybe an hour and a half? So like, what is your take on that? Like, airplane's great, but like, again, 2-hour battery life. What do you do in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. I mean, I know a lot of people who have been in headsets more often rave about the cordless free experience, right? Not being tethered to a computer or to a power outlet, right? But almost all of the use cases they showed this headset being used for are like either people standing still or sitting on your couch, like watching movies. So I could see it being, if those are the uses that you really want to use it for, I could imagine you just have a long cord and you plug it into the wall.
Yeah,
right?
that they would have it's not just battery powered, that they have an AC adapter, if you will.
Also like I know it doesn't look as classy, right? Having the battery in your pocket, right? Compared to it all being in the headset. Yeah. But like batteries are like heavy. So I think almost anyone, like if you're wearing like a Quest, like some sort of Quest headset, right? That has the battery built into the faceplate. If you go up to that person and be like, here, put this one on, but all the weight from the battery is now in your pocket. And they'd probably be like, wow, that's way more comfortable. Like, okay, so now do you want to go back to having the battery on your face to eliminate the cord? Well, I think the trade-off is fair, at least.
Well, and my thing is, and I think there's we're going to upsell battery packs, right? Or like, hey, Anker is making a battery pack for the Apple Vision Pro headset. And it lasts 3 times as long or whatever it is, you know? So I think that's what that is. But yeah, I'm just curious, out of the gate, like, this is going to be an at-home use device. I'm not going to be walking down the street because I'm worried about battery life at the end of the day. The second thing is, it's an M2 processor, an R1 chip in this headset. I have a MacBook. It's way more powerful than either of those, right? Like, especially because you know how hot computers get, right? When they're in use. So maybe I want to, run 3 desktops from my laptop. Do you think they'll have a way do you want to tether into your laptop or just use their SharePlay? Because like maybe I'm editing our podcast, or hell, what if we're recording in these headsets in like a year? So,
I mean, it could record our eyeballs. That's another thing we haven't talked about. How your eyes get transposed on the front of the device if someone's in front of it. Kind of weird, but also I think it's kind of cool. But I like the idea of kind of like artificially boosting the power of the headset by plugging it in. I want to say like Vive or even Oculus had done that at one point in time where you can go portable or you plug it in and you get the extra juice processing and electricity.
Yeah, my Quest 2 does. I plug it into my arcade machine, which has a graphics card, and I can run the Steam VR games on it, right? Like I can't even use Google Earth without that on there, but it is capable. So I want to. I guess these aren't complaints; these are questions I have, and I want to know more because I'm interested in it, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, I feel like I'll leave it on these 2 examples, right? Yeah. And you can use it either way to your defense or your advantage, right? Everyone thought the iPad was going to fail, and they all made fun of it because, it's a giant iPad right now. Or a giant iPhone.
I made fun of that. I have one that I use daily, so yes, absolutely.
Yeah, now everybody has like one or more iPads in their household, and they get passed down to their kids or their relatives when they upgrade to the next one. And everyone thought the AirPods looked dumb as hell because they're like, those are just earpods with the cords cut off, and now they're the most ubiquitous headphone I swear on the planet, right? So you could use that in your corner to fight for the headset.
I would add the Apple Watch was ugly as hell when it first came out too. How thick it was and like kind of like unwieldy. I'm like that. I would say that more than the AirPods, but like I get it. Like the first gen devices they're prototypes before they can slim them down, I guess. Yeah.
But also a little on the lesser side, right? You could say like I don't know anybody that owns what's this? What was their smart speaker that they tried to make? They still technically sell it. The HomePod. I don't know anybody that has a HomePod. I'm sure some people have it. It's for sale, but like it didn't come anywhere as close as what they wanted it to be. And lesser known, they announced at one conference a few years ago a universal wireless charging pad that you could put any of your device on anywhere and would charge it, and then like it just evaporated into the air because they couldn't figure out how to get multiple different types of devices to charge. So
they couldn't hit their 15 watts or whatever it was. Because Anchor makes the same thing they showed off. They're like, yeah, you can go buy these in our store, but what the hell with us making them? We're not doing it. But like, yeah, like there is, it's Apple. It's an Apple product. Everyone either love to hate it or you love to love it. Like there's no in between down the middle.
Very true.
So like, I get it.
I feel like we try to be in between though. We try to be the unicorns that don't go head over heels over it.
I think it's fantastic. I think there's opportunity, but at the same time, I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm going to know anybody within my small circle of friends or maybe even wider circle of friends who will have these probably outside of me. And I'm like,
well,
and that's
Chris,
fine.
It doesn't even really matter because they have not announced any sort of like AirPlay or sharing or interactive capabilities with you and another person with a headset.
I will say I am running iOS 17 developer beta with my developer account, and the Apple Music SharePlay in a car is one of the most like life-changing things ever.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I want that. We needed it this weekend driving into the mountains.
Yeah, like literally my car is connected to CarPlay. My wife can get on her Apple Music and like add music, thumbs up, thumbs down, changes the whole playlist. If you're in a car with other people, they can all do the same thing, whether they have Apple Music or not. They don't have to have the paid subscription if one person has it. So it was great. The other thing, just for WWDC, is they added gaming mode to MacBooks, and I don't know if you saw this, where you can wrap your a Windows gaming thing in this Mac wrapper and run it on your computer with a couple like command line steps. And people have already got Cyberpunk running, Diablo 4 running, all these brand new games running at like 80 frames per second on like MacBooks with this developer like layer. This isn't even like fully released yet, right? This is like 4 days into the developer thing, and they're like, yeah, we got these games running already. So I am looking forward to running Windows games on my Mac finally if this comes through to fruition. So I think that's cool. And honestly, it's kind of like having like a spark in my computer, really. from
I can see Chris taking the wheel of the ship and spinning it. Like, we got to move to the next topic. How do I do it? Start spinning the wheels.
Here's some whiplash, folks. We're gonna talk. Mike went camping. I saw Transformers: Rise of the Beast this weekend, last night. And for those who know me, Beast Wars is like one of my favorite shows ever. It defined me as a child growing up, right? I have the toys. Hell, I got you're familiar with the Transmetal Beast Wars, Mike? The toys that I just got one in the mail today, Megatron, because I ordered off Hasbro. So like I'm still buying these action figures at 37. Am I 36 years old? However old I am. And Transformers: Rise of the Beast is a mixture of Beast Wars and Transformers finally into this movie. And I will tell you, fun fact, on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, or Metacritic, one of them, this has the highest audience score out of all the Transformers movies ever.
Wow, that's surprising.
Which is crazy because it's just like every other Transformers movie, I feel like. It's very... I will tell you the premise of this is there are these people, these bad robots coming to Earth to look for this MacGuffin item that can travel space and time, and I'm like, this is every other Transformers movie. So not a good starting off right off the bat. But the main Autobot is not Bumblebee in this one. It's a character called Mirage, which you've seen in the trailer, and it's voiced by Pete Davidson, who normally is annoying as hell to me, but actually does a pretty good Autobot for this movie. Right. So he did a really good job with this Mirage. We got Optimus Prime, we got Bumblebee, we got RC for the first time, like a true RC, the motorcycle chick. And then we get the introduction of 4 Maximals: Air Razor, Optimus Primal, the Rhinoceros, Rhinox, yes, and Cheetor. And my biggest complaint about this is they don't get enough time. These 4 Transformers do not get enough time, and I want them to have more time. But overall, it's a fine movie, Mike. I don't think this is anything anyone needs to see in theaters, despite it being the #1 movie in theaters this weekend. Which I don't know if you saw that. Like it sadly it knocked Miles down, but like
it won't be for long. Yeah, there's a lot of competition this month.
There is a lot of so for this week it's out. It's gonna get a lot of money. Overall, so it's fine.
Would you rank it? It sounds like you would rank it below Bumblebee.
I would say it's like my 3rd favorite because I would say Bumblebee is good and the first Transformers is good, and then there's this one simply because I am biased because of the Maximals, but this is it's pretty okay. You know, there's like 2 human characters in this. The rest are all robots, and that's fine with me. Like
Yes,
the less humans, the better in these robot movies.
Yeah, we won't spoil anything, and I haven't seen it, but Chris did indulge me with the mid credits like
Scene.
twist, and to me, I it sounds like interesting. Like we'll have to see if they can really pull it off. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like if I can envision like blue sky, perfect case scenario, like okay, there could be some fun here.
Yeah, so it is definitely setting up more movies, and I would say more franchise potential, if you will. But I will say they still are in the pre-Michael Bay era Transformers. Like this is set in 1994, by the way. So you know, Megatron is not unfrozen from his ice thing yet, right? Because that was the first Transformers.
I mean, I feel like they're very lucky in a sense of if this is truly supposed to be the same Bay timeline universe. Yep. Right, they should lean into modern audiences understanding like time travel, multiverses, and all that stuff, and just have some sort of like machine that goes off and alters the timeline. Do kind of like the Star Trek Kelvin approach.
Well, I and this is not smart. I really thought they were, because this item, the MacGuffin, they say transports time and space. I'm like, oh, they have an opportunity. They didn't, but that doesn't mean there aren't more MacGuffins on Earth that are Transformer related.
Yeah, because... I mean, like if you're a machine, they can make any sort of MacGuffin they want.
Exactly. So, overall, I would say if you had to go see movies this month and you had to pick one movie to go see, it's still Miles Morales. Spider-Man is the number one movie I would go see over this one. But there is another movie. Let's jump into the news here. I was #blessed, Mike, to get that early tickets to see The Flash here in Louisville, Kentucky. This is not the normal method. Warner Brothers has like their own site where they pick people and invite you to come see movies, and is wbtickets.com, and I haven't used this website in years because I've never come back to Louisville for anything at all. Except for The Flash, and we get there and it's just haphazard chaos at my theater because no employee knows what's going on or what's happening here. But they didn't open up the tickets until I think the day before you could go see it. So rather than like you sign up a month in advance like Guardians, this was like the day before. So they gave them all out and there are people there, and we got to go in and sit down. They gave out posters. I got they had 2 posters, so I got to get those. That was cool, but the experience overall was just not very fun, but I think it's because they don't do these very often here in Louisville. But I was able to see The Flash early in its entirety, full movie, post-credit scenes, and all, Mike, for this. And this is going to be spoiler-free, and this is it. But this movie, man, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. It is 50% good, 50% what the hell. To put it, and it's not in that order. Like it's a nice up and down mix, right? Because we have they literally this would be. I think everyone needs to see this movie, but maybe not in theaters. If you only had to see one movie this month, it's still Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the better multiverse movie of these two. But I'm glad I got to see it because there are some really, really stupid things I was glad I was able to see in theaters. And there are some really, really awesome things in this movie I'm glad I got to see in theaters. But, like, there are other moments you're just like, okay, it's fine, it's whatever. It's another DC movie. Like, this is a great example of 50%, I'd say the 50% bad stuff literally feels like it's a Zack Snyder film, right? Like, the bad feels like a Zack Snyder stuff. I'm like, why are you doing this? This is ignorant. I hate this. Move on. But the other half... despite what Ezra Miller's problems he's had over the past several years are, he's a really good actor, and like there are really good like emotional scenes that he is playing 2 characters in this, 2 multiversal Flash. He does really good at it, and I have to give him credit in that regard. Like he was able to pull some emotional stuff together. People are asking how long is Michael Keaton in this movie, Mike? He is in there for a good, I would say, 40% of this movie. Michael Keaton is in this movie, so that's great. You get a revisit. You get the Danny Elfman score, right? The original Batman music. You get to see that. Get his Batcave, all that fun stuff. You get introduced to this universe. And, there's a Supergirl, as we've seen in the trailers, and all that fun stuff going on. So this is a multiversal movie, right? We all know this. There is a scene, and this isn't a spoiler, but like, you know, obviously when you have a multiversal movie, what do you show? Other universes, right? Like other properties that this could be like similar but different properties, right? And I will tell you, the longest scene of that is the most batshit crazy thing I've ever seen in my life in movies.
Wow!
And like really, like you're not. I'd heard. You're not gonna expect that. I'm not saying anything else. You're not gonna expect what you see when it gets to like, you know, a very, very fine multiversal thing. So.
Okay.
oh yeah, like really, I need you to see it because I need to get your feedback on this part.
Okay. Well, I got my ticket, so I'm good. So how many post credit scenes are we talking?
There are two.
Okay.
I would say there is one mid credits and one at the end as well.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
so you'll be fine. Yeah. Overall, like I said, I'm glad I saw this movie. I'm glad it's real, that it actually happened, and we're not just being, you know, catfish this whole time. I have my paid tickets for Thursday. I'm still going to go see it Thursday again, with a week off to kind of get my bearings and watch it again with detail. But you know, it's not the worst movie out of DC. It's actually up there, pretty good. I would say the writer Christina Hodson, who wrote Birds of Prey, I like this better than Birds of Prey. If I'm going to be, it's hard to compare DC movies, especially ones people who have powers and ones who don't. But I did enjoy this. This is in the upper half of DC's movies, Mike. Now, you know, we'll talk about it next week. How this ties into James Gunn and Peter Safran's plan at the end of the day, we'll talk about that next week. So I'm very excited to hear what you think of this, because I think it's going to be quite the review we have next week when we talk about it. Very excited. Any questions you have? Anything else? Like, this is in theaters this week if people want to see it. There are IMAX screenings tomorrow on the 12th. Normal screenings, I believe, are on Wednesday or Thursday. Anything else, Mike, you have questions about The Flash? Because,
I mean, at the risk of spoiling anything, I think I shall abstain and stay subscribed and tune in, and you'll be able to hear a review from somebody fresh off the presses and somebody a bit more seasoned with a couple other viewings under their belt.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about it. So overall, I think if you are on the fence to watch this, maybe wait till, you know, everybody else kind of sees it and look at the audience score, really, if you will. If you're, you know, geared up for it and excited, I think you're going to be great. I think you're going to have a great time. If you're not excited for it and don't watch it, I don't think it's going to change your mind either. So I'm very excited to talk in full force about it next week. But to risk not spoiling anything, let's move on to the other part of the news for this week. Batman the Brave and the Bold. The movie, Andy Muschetti, the director of The Flash, is the top pick to direct the film going forward, with from Peter Safran and James Gunn's selection. And Christina Hodson, who wrote Birds of Prey and The Flash, is slated to write the film for them. So
yeah, I mean, this could be a sign that possibly we like the creative team, but we maybe don't like the content or maybe the talent inside of the film. Possibly overall in the long term, put them on something else. It seems to be like, because usually, right, you at Marvel, when something's like really popping off, they like the reactions, like, you know, Peyton Reed with Ant-Man. Let's get the second one greenlit and get them on there, right? Because if you're putting a director and a writer on a brand new movie, that's going to be a couple of years, you know. So if they wanted to continue the creative team, it'll be a while until you see your next Flash movie. And if they didn't, we know it's not going to be them necessarily on it.
Right, and the fact that they're both, I would say, remnants of pre-Gunn Safran Warner Brothers and being tapped to continue on means that also they have good vibes with them, right? Like, they are like, hey, you've done the best you could with what you were given from the executive team, and we like what you got. So maybe here's some more freedom, you know, working into the Brave and the Bold. So I think that's fine. I have no qualms with either of them at the end of the day. Andy Muschetti also did the It movies 1 and 2. Yeah, he's a good director along the way. So I think this is fine at the end of the day. We all want to know who's going to play Batman, right? And who's going to play Damian Wayne in this new universe. So we'll cross our fingers that's new. The other thing with that is James Gunn's Superman Legacy. The current, I believe it's THR, is reporting that members of the Authority, which is one of the other properties upcoming in the DC universe, will make their debuts in this movie. So that sounds right. the other superpowered people from the Authority being here. And I'm going to say they're most likely antagonistic to Superman, right? Like, hey, we run this planet. Why are you here as an alien kind of thing?
God, I mean, talk about like an untapped cinematic ground, right, of Superman villains. You know, the older Superman films never quite had the technological advancement to really portray like a lot of his comic book villains, kind of how they were ensconced on a comic book page. Right now we have that ability, but we just can't get a Superman franchise up and running. So yeah, any and all Superman villains, we can really mine those now.
Yeah, like I feel like Lex Luthor and Zod have been beaten to death since the first two Superman movies. Like we could use somebody different, right, to fight him.
And I get it, like narratively wise, like those are great villains, but like, come on, like Superman's great, like for having like some big dumb chunky alien coming down and be like, the Earth's mine now. Is like, no, I'm an alien and this is my planet. I'm gonna punch you.
Yeah, and if the Authority are like quote unquote the Avengers of this world already, and then like a new alien shows up and they're like, well, actually, why are you here? We're humans protecting Earth. Why do we need a Superman? But they're probably like very, I would say, morally gray, and Superman's more of like the morally righteous person. I could see them getting into fights over it. So I'm excited to watch it. I don't know if they're the villains, but hopefully, again, we're tired of Lex Luthor. We're tired of Doomsday. Let's get somebody new in the Superman realm. Ahsoka show, new image has been released showing an Inquisitor in the show, which is interesting because this show was set after Return of the Jedi. Inquisitors were disbanded before A New Hope. So,
oh my gosh, I gotta pull up my timeline now.
This is Rebels.
No idea what's happening.
Inquisitors were killed off before the actual original movies. So this show was set after the original movies. So why is there an Inquisitor? Is it a wannabe Inquisitor? Is it a flashback even? Maybe. We don't know yet. But, what I like to see, Mike, I like to show Mike lightsabers because I know he gets excited when he sees them.
I do like them. They're fun.
But I will tell you the thing I hate most about modern Star Wars is the lightsabers because those lines are they're too clean. Like lightsabers are, like, I know they're using real FX lightsabers now that glow and they don't have to add the effects in, but I miss like the simplicity of like it looks like a very choppy light stick, not a beam of LED tubes that you're hitting against each other the whole time.
That's why you subscribe to the Superhero Slate podcast, so you can hear Chris beef about light. He's got a lot of problems with light. I think it's because you got that one eye, that's not quite working out for you, and it's a one-to-one relationship, right? Only light is supposed to go into these eyeballs.
The lines are too straight, Mike. I can't stand straight line lightsabers. Get them out of here. Unless you can build that. If you could build a double-bladed lightsaber like that down at Savvy's workshop in Disneyland, sign me up. I'd build a double. I'd pay a little extra premium to build a double-bladed lightsaber that spins around.
And they would be happy to take that money from you.
Yeah, they were like, these blades are the cheapest part of the thing, right? Like we can print these all day. But also a quick teaser was released confirming an August 23rd date. We previously reported August 30th, but it is a week earlier on August 23rd. So I think that I'm excited to watch Dave Filoni's first solo foray into live action Star Wars.
Yeah, I just need to see if our theories of that last season of The Mandalorian hold true. Right? Is just a pure uncut Filoni going to be what was really missing and what we really need to see return to the screen? That's what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah. I want to see what his story does. He's done so well in the animated stuff. I want to see if that translates well to this. So we'll keep you guys posted when that gets closer to that. Here's a rare comic book bit of news for the week, Mike.
Ooh, okay.
Are you familiar with the Ultimate Universe of comic books that we've?
Oh gosh, if I wasn't, we all know I'm talking to an expert on the other end of this microphone.
I own an entire universe of comic books in my basement, Mike.
He owns every single piece of paper, every page that covers the Ultimate Universe in Marvel Comics. Chris owns and can reference at any given point in time.
And I would gladly do it for a nickel. But Marvel is relaunching their Ultimate Universe comic books that originally started in 2000-2001 with Ultimate Comic Spider-Man written by Brian Bendis and drawn by Mark Bagley. I actually have issue number 1 framed or graded with Brian Bendis' signature on it. My wife got it for me for Christmas one year.
So just to be clear with the nomenclature here, relaunching, is this just reprinting?
No. So relaunching, they initially in 2015, 2016, there was a comic line called The Ultimate End where they essentially killed off destroyed the Ultimate Universe and merged all their universes into one Marvel universe, right?
Nothing more comic booky than that right there.
Exactly. With the Secret Wars story, which was written by Jonathan Hickman, one of my favorite writers, who has literally inspired the MCU from its fruition. Now, I will say the big things about Ultimate Universe, everyone's like, well, this is stupid. Why would you do this? This whole universe was like, it forewent the history of comic books, right? Like, this is like Spider-Man #1 is set in the year 2000, and it's like, this is outside your window right now. You don't have to read 50 years of comic books to get caught up with Spider-Man. This is right now in modern times. He works on websites and is like a blogger, like journalist, like for his school. He's not writing things down, taking pictures of Spider-Man.
It's funny how even that is dated now.
Yeah.
A blogger.
Right. So like, Ultimate Universe was like the world outside your window right now. That was their whole motto. It was great until Jeff Loeb got a hold of it and he ruined it in 2008 with Ultimates 3. But we've all heard me bitch about that for the past 10 years on this show. Now, I will say some of the cool things about the Ultimate Universe. Miles Morales was introduced in the Ultimate Comics from Brian Michael. We would not have him without Ultimate Comics, so that's great. The Ultimates, which was the Avengers, if you will, this universe, literally drew Nick Fury as Samuel L. Jackson in there, and they even referenced that before he was cast as Nick Fury in the movie, which literally kickstarted the MCU off. So Ultimates is great. This new one's going to be written by Jonathan Hickman, who wrote Ultimates before. He ended the Ultimate Universe with Secret Wars, but he's coming back, and the original artist for the Ultimates, Brian Hitch, is coming back to draw this as well. So what's going on here? Is like the first page of the first issue just going to be like a picture of some sort of like Marvel wizard just casting a spell? Like, no, I think I'd like to bring this universe back to life, and then all of a sudden we're back in. Well, I don't know. This comes out in November, but there's a 4-issue series in the middle called Ultimate Invasion, which actually features one of your favorite characters, Mike, Evil Reed Richards. Coming back with the Illuminati from Earth 616 going back into Earth 1610. So it's got all the Ultimate characters, the Ultimate Iron Man, that chunky armor that everyone was like, this looks weird. It's got him in there, and it's got the Thor with the axe hammer because that's where it first showed up. Stormbreaker was even taken kind of from that design, and it's Evil Reed Richards and Miles and the Illuminati going into that universe. So I don't know what the story, how they get there or how it comes back to life, but seeing that this Reed Richards, Ultimate Reed Richards, is evil and leading the charge tells me maybe he left something behind and needs to go get it. So I'm excited to see what it brings back. But like, this is huge to me, as I'm a huge fan of the Ultimate Universe. It's how I got into comic books, but also with Jonathan Hickman writing it, like how much of this is going to inspire the MCU going forward, right? We talked about in 2025, or was it 2026, 2027, them rebooting the universe, doing maybe an Ultimate style reboot. Is this what they're doing? Getting him ready for that?
You're going to need to create a new tab in your long box because you got to make room for more Ultimate. The second one of these is published, all of a sudden you don't have a complete collection anymore.
So I literally went to my comic book store this weekend. I'm like, I need a pull list for these upcoming issues. Like, they're not in our system. I'm like, write me down. Anything that says Ultimates, I want it. Also, they had an Ultimate Invasion themed short box, like artwork on the short box.
Oh,
so I picked that up to start putting them in. So I'm actually in the same mindset, ready to go on that. So
little did I know.
I think this is cool. If there's any more MCU stuff we see, that's related to this, I'll let you guys know. But I'm very excited to revisit that with those characters along the way. On the other side of the MCU, this week we got a little teaser image, if you will, with Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie confirming Captain America New World Order is now getting a new title called Captain America Brave New World. So there are two thought processes behind this. Do you want the conspiracy theory one or the regular one first?
Well, I don't know if it's necessary. I do know one of them, so you can tell me if this falls in order one of them. I think one of them was New World Order kind of has like World War like 1/2 connotations of possibly wiping out certain types of people. So maybe some people were leaning into that.
I would say it's actually like one of those radio shock jocks who has recently gotten sued for millions of dollars and lost. Keeps bringing up New World Order on one of his shows that he does. So people seem to think it might be that. But Brave New World also, to me, I don't care which title they use. None of this tells me what the movie is yet, and that's maybe what I want to know more about.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it does change. I would say the tone overall. New World Order to me sounds ominous. Brave New World to me sounds hopeful. Yeah. Changing of the guard. So I mean, the biggest thing is I saw this image earlier in this week. But I never looked at it on a computer. Now I'm on my desktop and I'm zooming in.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, in the top corner you can see Sam Wilson's new Iron Man comic from a monitor. So that's all I'm looking at right now. I've seen Harrison Ford. I've seen Anthony Mackie before.
Well, the other thing is Harrison Ford is not in his suit. If he's supposed to be the president, right? We've seen him in the presidential suit. He's just in a black suit, looks disheveled. Everyone's like, is this his Red Hulk transformation? Is this what he looks like when he untransforms from the Hulk? Because he wouldn't be in his suit. He'd be more disheveled, right? So like, why does he look that way? I was like, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Maybe he just got to set, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he was busy flying a plane. He just landed in.
He just
hadn't
landed.
Changed yet.
He broke his leg on a prop walking in somehow. From his Indiana Jones tour he's doing. But honestly, this movie comes out May 3rd, 2024. They're still filming it. I want to see a teaser. I'm thinking there's gonna be an early footage at San Diego Comic-Con next month, Mike. I think that's where we're gonna. Hopefully we'll get a leak footage of them teasing this movie next month. Because I believe, and I haven't pulled up our website to do this, so I'm not gonna do it. But I think this is 2 movies away, right? We have in November the Marvels, and then this in May. So we're pretty close. There might be another one in February, but I don't think so next year. Yeah.
We also got Secret Invasion coming incredibly soon.
This month.
If not, is it this week or is it next week? It's soon. It's right around the corner. So Marvel's kind of kicking back into gear, even though it
June
was
21st, so
it was in gear just recently, with Guardians. Though the Guardians did feel isolated in a way, not in a bad way, right? Obviously telling a complete whole story there with the other Guardians movies, but it'll be nice to dive back into the conspiracy of all things happening in the world with S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything.
The Skrulls and the mystery, the intensity of it. I'm very excited for that. But it's not this week, but that we'll talk about when that drops in a week and a half. On the flip side, we talked about Avengers Secret War. The rumor, yet again, is that this movie will be split into 2 parts. And I say more power to them, right? Like, we if they want to cover a good movie, I don't want them to rush it in 3 hours. Give me 2.5, 2.45s. I'll go watch both of them. I don't care, as long as they're good, right? That's what I'm thinking. But the other part of this is that Marvel is going to use some of the Spider-Verse characters in possibly live-action version. So... the rumor is bringing Oscar Isaac in as Spider-Man 2099.
And I know Shamik Moore is out there in the world saying that he's gonna hit the gym so he can possibly be Miles on the big screen. I mean, that all sounds really, really cool. But as we all know, if it's coming straight from the actor's mouth, they know the least. That's always how it goes. It's everybody else in their lives that seem to know exactly what's going to be happening. But that's all cool. That's all great. Obviously, Marvel knows what to do when it grabs something that Sony has the legal hold over. It's the other way around that we're always worried about.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think it would be, even if maybe they don't see them and it's just them in suits, Spider-Man suits, it's fine. Put them in live action Spider-Man suits. I don't need them to see take their hats off or mask off. They don't need to do it. But in Secret Wars, what would there was just a Spider-Man world, right? They brought the hub into live action and they hey, there's a bunch of Spider-Man stuff. I think that'd be pretty fun to see as well. So never know. On the flip side of that, with Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the cast and crew aren't sure if this movie will actually make the March release date next year. And
I guess the closer your movie looks like a highly polished video game, you start to fall into the video game pipeline delays. And I wouldn't be entirely surprised if the pipeline at Sony Animation with Spider-Verse is more similar to a video game than it is a feature film, right?
Yeah. Well, I think also, why would the voice cast know this? Because I know they've already recorded all their lines. I mean, maybe it's just maybe their contracts are like, maybe we'll change the release date. But the directors have all gone. I think 2 of the 3 directors have gone on record and said like they won't release a below quality movie. Like, hey, Sony's given us freedom to make this the best we can. If it's not up to par, we don't have to hit that March release date. We can push it back. And obviously the success of Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse is showing, they can release this, and as long as it's good, it's going to be a huge box office success, right? Like
they got a landing to stick.
Yeah, so give them time, let them do it right, and I think we're gonna be great. I'm sad we have to wait so long for it. Like that's my thing. I'm like, oh man, it was so much fun to be there. So hopefully we get a release date sooner than later. Also this week, it's some sort of game thing going on this weekend, and I hate that I don't know what the title of it is, but Xbox had something, Sony had something, but Sony has confirmed a release date of October 20th, 2023 for Spider-Man 2 on PS5, Mike. So
let's hope they can hit that date. We were just talking about video games being delayed, and
they have the reason they've not shown any footage or anything. They were like specifically like, we're not gonna do this until we know our game is right and done. So I applaud them for that. The collector's edition, I didn't include a photo here, but it includes a Miles and Peter versus Venom statue, and they confirmed that Venom is not Eddie Brock. Anyone who's played the first game kind of knows who that's going to be, right? Like at the end of the first game. But I did share a screenshot of the digital deluxe edition here, Mike, and I know this is great because in the Spider-Man games, you can literally dress as any suit they put in there, right? It doesn't affect the game at all. But they have a multiverse of suits, and there's some really cool ones in here I thought that looked pretty neat along the way. Including... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this was just kind of fun because I follow a lot of artists on social media, and some of the artists that I follow that just don't necessarily work in video games or anything like that were just posting like, oh, guess what? My Spider-Man suit that I worked on a couple years ago has finally like been announced. Here it is, and there was quite a few of them that worked on these. So it seems like the studio did a really cool thing of like, let's just reach out to artists that we really, really like and see if they can come up with some cool Spider-Man suit designs.
And this first Spider-Man game, like they had like 20-something suits, and they were like all pulled from the comic books. And Spider-Punk, who was in Across the Spider-Verse, a lot of those suits from there were in there. But what this looks like is to be more like, hey, I expect those to be in here, and these are going to be like wild suits. Like these are not suits you're not going to normally see in a comic book. Like I think Stone Monkey is the Shakespearean Spider-Man that's more taking note, but like Apocalyptic, that's new. I've never ever heard of that one. Along the way,
I love the one just under Apocalyptic, the Tokusatsu suit, if I said that right. Kind of looks like a Beetleborg from back in the day.
Yeah, like a Power Ranger meets Spider-Man kind of thing. The 25th century suit looks like he's wearing like a bubble shield, right? Like a helmet. So I expect these to be cool. And these are 10 suits for Peter and Miles, so 5 each. So the top 5 are obviously Peter, and the bottom 5 are Miles. Because you can see the biomechanical suit, it looks like Miles, but like a little more thing. Then obviously they had the early unlock suits. You get to see the Arachnite Spider-Man / Moon Knight suit as well. But like I'm excited for this game. I'm glad it's coming out this fall. That'll give us something. I've been playing Diablo 5, right? We've been on talking like Diablo 5. It's a shoe-in for Game of the Year. I'm like, well, wait until Spider-Man 2 comes out because
exactly
this has been good. Star Wars has been good. We are in a good year for video games. But like for those who don't have a PS5, you may want to start saving now because you're gonna want this game when it comes out. We talked about the gameplay 2 weeks ago, I think. Just absolutely talked about it forever. So I'm very, very excited to get a release date, which happens to be my wife's birthday. So God, send me a prayer if I can make that work. Let's talk. Let's get into something very similar here. TMNT Mutant Mayhem, Mike. The movie coming out this summer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is rumored to be getting an animated show set in the same universe after the movie comes out. Very few details are known, except for I think Seth Rogen's a producer, but they're developing it for Paramount Plus. Do you think they would do the same art style for the TV show, or do you think they might kind of not dumb it down, but make it more producible?
It's hard to say, right? Because a lot of the hard work has obviously already been done when it comes to like the concept design and the visual development and the language, right? But that still doesn't count all of the work it takes to put into animating and putting all the love into each of the individual frames, because that's really what defines a feature animated film, is the attention to detail, right? When you go into like a TV show pipeline, unless you're doing something super premium, right, like The Mandalorian or like an Avengers thing, or even maybe something more like on HBO like The Last of Us, right, you're cranking through those episodes as fast as possible. But also, like, the Turtles made their home and made their fan base and made their iconic, stamp on the universe through TV animation, like kids' Saturday morning cartoons. That's,
cheap TV it's almost animation as well.
Yeah, it's almost like where they belong, truly. And also, I mean, Paramount Plus, talk about a streaming service on like shaky ground. Who knows if it's even around by the time something like that even gets done. But I mean, if it's cool, I'm here for it. I mean, do they continue the Turtles itself, or do they pull out some other characters and try to do like a one-off? I don't know. I think perfect case scenario, Mutant Mayhem comes out, it's awesome, greenlight a sequel, I go watch the sequel in theaters.
Yeah, I don't see myself watching a show based on the movie, just the movies, right, at this situation. But that's us. Maybe like, hey, we need to target something at kids. Turtles are great kids shows. Nickelodeon had them forever, right? Different versions. So, I know why they're doing it, but, hopefully they do it well at this rate. So we'll keep you guys posted if that comes up. Another movie that is in the works due to the success of its predecessor, Legend of Zelda. Universal and Illumination are reportedly close to signing a huge deal for this film, to do a Legend of Zelda animated movie, and that's all due to the success of the Super Mario Brothers.
I saw I think the perfect meme that encapsulates like my thoughts. It was a screenshot of, I think, Homelander. And I don't remember what episode or what context
where
it
he's
was.
Like pointing at all the people. It's like, y'all suck, but Mario, you're good. Oh.
No, it wasn't that one. It's funny that there's other Homelander memes for this news announcement. No, it was where like Homelander just looks shocked, disheveled, like his whole universe has crumbled all around them. Which has happened a couple times in the series of The Boys, so I don't know exactly what it was for. But it was, the quote was like, me when I'm watching the Legend of Zelda movie and Bonnie Tyler's I Need a Hero comes on as a needle drop in the movie. And it's just like, oh God, like I would hope they would have the tact over at Illumination to go like, we are dealing with a totally different type of source material here. This is not happy, lucky go Mario, woohoo. It is like, try to tell a dramatic story. Link has never even spoken. He's never even spoke a word through a voice actor in any of the games. So that's a big thing to tackle. So I would hope they got to come at it from a totally different angle. And I do not trust Illumination to do that. I would hope that they can, and I'll cross my fingers.
I disagree. I don't think I don't trust Universal. Illumination, as you've shown, did the right music for that movie, right? They even had the right sound. Somebody else made them put those soundtracks in there, right? Like what was it? The Gone Driving Me Bananas or whatever it was. It was in there. They wrote it. They paid someone to actually score that music, and then they didn't put it in there because they put in Take on Me. Yeah. So who was that person? That's what I want. I don't think it's Illumination as a whole.
Let's fire that person.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me who that was and get them out of here.
Because probably the same person chose the songs for Shazam, right? Like, because they used that song twice. But like, I can't blame Illumination for that, because I think they made a beautiful movie that looked like Mario and it felt like a Mario movie at the end of the day. But whoever did that part of it sucks and deserves to be, not working on Legend of Zelda.
Maybe this is like kind of like the whole thing of like one for you, one for me, but it's kind of like one for you and still kind of one for you, where it's like, we prove that we can make a ton of money with Mario. Now leave us alone and let us do Zelda, because I guarantee, like, Chris, you're right. Everybody that works at Illumination, anybody who works in the animation industry, is a total like raging hard-on nerd. They absolutely love Zelda and want to do it justice. But yes, you are right. It is the older folks who have never touched a video game in their life at NBC Universal, right, that are making these horrible decisions. Yeah, so needless to say, I'm nervous.
Well, and I would say, at best, it's going to be, at worst, it's going to be a mediocre film, because even if you don't, you're not a huge Mario fan, you don't like Super Mario Brothers, suitable. Kids loved it, made lots of money. People are watching it. Probably selling copies of Mario. I don't have those numbers yet. You mentioned earlier this week, I might buy a Switch. Is that because you saw Super Mario Brothers, Mike? Is it?
No.
No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding. Legend of Zelda is, I will be honest, I've only played the very first 2 games. I'm not precious on Zelda, but I know millions of people are, and I really hope the best for them at the end of the day. But for Nintendo to say, yes, we will give you this license, that I think is the biggest thing. This is the license they've held over everyone's head for as long as we can remember. Only one other console in the world other than Nintendo has Zelda games, and that was in the late 80s, early 90s. So I really hope they do well with this, and like you said, they don't muck it up by playing bad music over the whole thing. So we'll knock on wood, but that's okay, because next in 2 summers, Mike, we get a new Fast and Furious movie. Is it 11? Fast 10 2. There's been this post out there with an April 4th, 2025 release date from Vin Diesel, and it's got Jason Momoa in here. And I will tell you this, I did not know this, but there's controversy, Mike. Can you believe controversy about Fast and Furious, where Vin Diesel is mad that everyone is talking about Jason Momoa's character, a scene-stealing character who everyone was talking about from Fast 10, and not his performance, Mike. He was so upset. And then, come to find out 2 weeks later, this pops up with him in it, and he mentions, literally in there, where does it say, how expressive and collaborative they all are. Jason wanted to try something really unique and special, ended up creating a scene-stealing character. So obviously this has come back to Vin Diesel. Everyone's like, are you really mad at Jason Momoa for making, him being the best part of your movie, kind of thing? It's whatever. Now, my question is, we talked about this last week, do you think April 4th, 2025, that's a year and a half away, right? Or a little under 2 years. Do you think the Hobbs movie will make it out before this or not at this rate?
Oh, God, I don't know. I mean, do we dare tick The Rock off even more? And
do you think they're even writing this at this point? Do you think they're waiting for the strike to come over and then they're just going to film it live?
I don't know. I'll tell you how invested I am in the Fast and Furious franchise, and it's this interested. I open up this link to open up Instagram on my computer, on my desktop, and I was scrolling through the comments of the post, and you can reply with animated GIFs on Instagram now. When did this happen? Is this in the app or is this on the desktop only? It's just a lot of people sharing Fast and the Furious, Vin Diesel reaction. What is happening here? When did Instagram let this happen?
I don't know, but I'm back in after Fast 10, Mike. I'm back in because this thing is so stupid that I just can't let it go. I'm like, how are they keep making these things? So, I Fast 10, April 4, 2025. I just wanted to see, how will The Rock and Vin Diesel actually share any screen time going forward? Because in all these movies, no one is on the same screen at the same time. So, very interested at that. But for those who may not be in the Fast movies, you may be into Ghostbusters instead. And with that, Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel now has a new poster. And really, it's Ghostbusters, right? It's the busting ghost signs, the red circle with the slash to it, and a ghost. But this one seems to be frozen, right? Mm-hmm. What is happening? Is it out of winter time? Is it Arctic? Is it a ghost specter or a ghost frozen specter kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, the only data point I have is there was some set video, set photos that I saw floating around the other week where it showed them, I believe, in New York. So I think that the kids, the gang, the new busters, the Ghostbusters teens, whatever you want to call them, it looks like they make it to the city in the Ecto-1. I didn't see any snow. It didn't look like winter time. Yeah. Obviously, weather fronts can change day by day as we are humans and we live in the world.
There's a plug-in that adds snow. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but I mean, I would lean maybe towards elemental themed ghost, right? Maybe there's a ghost that has ice powers or something. I don't know. This is very indicative and strong theming for this. I feel you don't freeze the logo unless this is very, very important.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll throw something on the wall as something that just is not super attached to Ghostbusters. Maybe some sort of bad guy is cryogenically frozen or something. That could be kind of cool. Throw that in there. I don't know, but
I played a lot of Diablo, and let me tell you, cold-powered ghosts appear quite a bit in that game, Mike. So maybe I'm gonna say it's probably someone who is like maybe wants a forever winter kind of deal, maybe, and they have to deal with that. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Just as long as there's no Skybeam.
Yeah,
no Skybeam.
Yeah. Ghostbusters Afterlife was fun. I was excited it came out, and I was very pleased to watch it. So hopefully they can continue that thread with this fourth in the main line Ghostbusters movie, 5th overall. Now let's talk about the stupidest thing I've seen this week. And I saw Transformers and The Flash, so this is well below that. But Twisted Metal released a clip from the upcoming show. Not a trailer, a clip. Where Sweet Tooth is beating up Anthony Mackie in a casino because he didn't want to come see his show, whatever that is. And when I say Twisted Metal, I think about cars driving around and shooting each other and blowing each other up. There's not a goddamn car in this trailer or in this clip. They, in fact, are singing the thong song. And I like Will Arnett, but I can hear Will Arnett in Sweet Tooth's voice because he is him voicing over this guy in a mask the whole time.
Wow, I had no. That's funny. We were experiencing two different Sweet Tooths. Then I had no idea who it was. I was like, I don't know what's happening here. I think the most indicative thing about this is this was, I believe, attached to whatever that video game festival thingy that happened this weekend that had some of this other video game news. So they were intentionally showing this off to gamers, and they don't show any cars. That is an indictment if I've ever seen one of just like, what's the first clip we want to show the universe of Twisted Metal? Them fighting in like an abandoned casino? Like, no, I don't care.
It's got rapey vibes. They're listening to they're singing the song to each other, and it's very it's campy. It's supposed to be campy. But I'm not buying it yet because I don't feel like they want to buy it into it.
Yeah.
So
it went from campy to cringy extremely quickly.
Yeah. And again, Mortal Kombat had no Mortal Kombat. That was my biggest complaint about that movie, right? With Mortal Kombat 1 when the reboot came out. Twisted Metal not having cars, big red flag. Huge red flag in the sand here.
Doesn't it scream to you that like, oh, this show is going to get these people out of their cars any possible time they can because it is too expensive to either film the cars or create them in a computer. So get them out of there as many times as possible. It's going to be kind of like those action cartoons you grew up as a kid where it's just like, we'll put 2 action scenes in every episode, but only 2 because that's all we can afford to animate. So I feel like that's what we're running into here.
Yeah. Or like, again, to reference Power Rangers, reusing the same clip when the monsters were like, oh, we're playing it backwards when he's becoming large, the explosions, and then he's there. Then the other way says he's there, and then the explosions. So I'm like, oh my god. So I want to like Twisted Metal because I like the games, but nostalgia is not helping me get through this right now, and that's really, really sad. And this is what Universal, what or Peacock?
Peacock, I think. Yeah. It's either Peacock or Paramount. It's one of the P streamers.
Yeah.
Oh god, did I just say that?
yeah. It's coming to Peacock. So I just looked at the URL. So yeah, absolutely. So this is awful and I hate it, but the clip is there if you guys want to watch it and see why we hate it along there with us. But that is the show for the week, Mike. We're going to get out of here. We're going to come back next week with 2 episodes, a news episode and a review episode of The Flash. So we'll do that. But if people know what you're up to, what you're doing in the meantime, where can they find you at, man?
Yeah, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can read my webcomic at liferewardsrisk.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, see what you're doing, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or Valdan on video game stuff, whatever. If you're playing Diablo, let me know. I want to know what people are thinking of it. If people want to know more about the show and get ready for those reviews and those new episodes next week, where can they get all that good information at?
Oh, if you want to listen to us sing along to the thong song, all you have to do is head on over to superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show. And to get our awesome kick-ass show notes. We got a lot of links in this week's episode, so if you want to see all of those things that we talked about, head on over to superheroslate.com. Episode 429 for reference. I don't think I've ever shouted out the actual episode number on the podcast, so that might be new.
We even missed 420. Like, we were very excited to do 420, and we missed it. So.
Yeah, we're too cool. We're too nonchalant to keep track of the episode. episode numbers. But you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. Maybe we'll be in your Vision Quest Pro. No, Apple Vision Pro. Yeah, maybe
Vision
one
Quest
day
is a whole different. That's a Marvel property. We're not even there yet.
We'll see you in the augmented reality, folks. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Please reach out. Let us know if you have $3,500 that you would like to give either Chris or I. $7,000 would be great. It would cover both of us. And if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you gotta do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.